You're listening to CBS Sports Radio. We are all sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Strong opinions and your phone calls. Expect it here. CBS Sports Radio.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. SEC, ACC, and Big Ten coverage like no other. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year-long in your DFS payouts. The only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, in your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to fit.
Pop stars with auto-tune. And dentists with asking questions.
So, how did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much, we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We've got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live. Or catch the instant replay.
Take the road less traveled in the newly redesigned Hyundai Santa Fe. With available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you get off the beaten path a little further together. And intuitive safety features that can help you see what's waiting around the bend. Plus, with generous room for 5 and comfortable available Napa leather seating, you can go for more drives as a family without driving each other crazy. Find new adventures together in the Hyundai Santa Fe.
I'm Amy Lauren, and I'm up late, always, after hours, hanging out with you on CBS Sports Radio. Check it out, 2 a.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Pacific.
Get caught up with the big stories from around the world in sports in just a few minutes. It's Take Me Out to the Ball Game today, weekdays. Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever's trending in the world of sports, it's on Take Me Out to the Ball Game today in just a few minutes. It drops weekdays, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as Wake Up Y'all is ending. Take Me Out to the Ball Game today on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. Take me out to the ball game. The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live, covering the AFC South and NFC South along with the rest of the NFL. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
CBS Sports Radio, your home for all things sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, coast to coast. Great sports talk expected here. CBS Sports Radio.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the ground.
Good morning, and welcome to Take Me Out to the Ball Game today. We're getting rolling here a little later than normal, as I was up to all hours doing the game last night, and kind of dragging this morning, but we're going to get this thing going. Tony will be joining us here in a minute. As soon as he jumps on, we'll bring him in, and we'll bring the video on. We'll always start this off with a little old-time radio look for you. And last night the Braves get blown out by the Dodgers, so that happened, but that's okay because we are still leading the series 3-2. Braves Nation is flipping out over absolutely nothing. I trust you, fans. This Braves team is not the same. They're going to go back and they're going to take care of business at home. They're absolutely going to take care of the Dodgers. I'm not concerned. I don't think Max Scherzer has much left in the tank, and I think the Atlanta Braves are going to take it to the wall. All right, Tony's ready to join us, and so we'll go ahead and welcome him on as we get this thing rolling here on a Friday morning. Good morning and welcome to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Tony Aguilini, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I am doing fine. I'd be doing better if the Braves would have won last night, but other than that, you can imagine I'm dragging butt again. This is this has turned into quite an endeavor doing these late night ball games to try to get our video looking normal. All right, we're ready to roll. I was a little late starting the show this morning. The game finished at about 1:45, and then you just can't go to sleep right after that. So I'm going on fumes. Got a little coffee going, got a little water going, and got this other thing that I don't know what the heck it is. It's supposed to have caffeine in it too, so I'll be flipping off the wall here in about 6 minutes. So anyways, put a cap on what happened last night. Braves country, they are flipping out and thinking the doom and gloom, and the thing that they're jumping out at there, Tony, this morning, last night, whenever they're like, this is the Super Bowl all over again. This is the Georgia Bulldogs blowing it against the against Alabama in the championship game. This is not the same circumstances. I'm just not that concerned with it. Look, if you told me we were going to have a 3-2 lead heading back to Atlanta with two of our best pitchers heading at home with that crowd that's going to be going bananas against Max Scherzer, who has looked mortal at best, I think he's gassed. And then if they do win Saturday, they're going to go against Bueller. Bueller has not gone that deep in the games, and we'll have Charlie Morton. And I don't think it gets to a game 7, but if it does, I'm just not that concerned.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Actually, if you're able to, can you switch me on the? I'm on my phone. I'm trying to check in on the computer. My computer was being slow.
Oh, gotcha. I was wondering why it sounded so weird. All right. Yeah, I've got the phone now. Sure. But yeah, to kind of put a cap on that thought, I'm just not that concerned, y'all. And I know they're all going to be flipping out. They have to give filler on the air for like MLB Network and all the other outlets for the next couple of days.
Yeah, much better.
They have to do that for the next couple of days to get the Dodger fan base all jazzed up and want to watch this.
Right.
But we're about to lead a lamb to the slaughter. And the Braves are going to knock them out. I firmly believe that. And Braves fans just have to quit freaking the hell out every time they lose a ball game. Yeah, Taylor went off last night, and good for him. That's not going to happen every game.
Right.
Guy go out and go 4 for 5 with 3 home runs and whatever was it, 37 RBIs or whatever the hell he had. It's not going to happen every game. And let's be honest, no one wants to admit this. Max Fried laid an egg last night.
Yeah, I'm with you. What you were saying before, like last night, you're basically getting the Dodgers back to where they were in the beginning of the series, and you're not having to face a new pitcher every inning or every 6 outs or so. And as a hitter, I think it's a little bit easier, first time, second time, third time around, to try and get them. So those bullpen games can be tough to win sometimes. So I kind of think that's just what happened last night. And, I think Atlanta will clinch, tomorrow night, if not tomorrow, then so they'll do it eventually. But at least it'll be at home. So that's pretty cool. So I don't know the last time they clinched the NLCS at home. That's been since the 90s. And
well, we haven't been in the World Series since 99. So
right. So it's been
I don't know where we clinched it. I don't remember, but regardless, we haven't clinched the NLCS since 99.
Yeah, honestly, as long as the Braves pitching is just needs to be pretty good, and I think they'll be fine.
And we've got Jorge Soler back. Mm-hmm. I'll be interested to see how they incorporate. I would think they would go Jock Peterson and Rosario in the outfield again and have Soler as a pinch hitter. He's been off for 10-ish days. He had the one at bat last night, but he's going to have some rust. And I would rather have him I would rather have the 2 lefties facing Scherzer. And then when they go to bring someone off the bench, out of the pen, whether it's Vesia or Brule or whoever they decide to go to, I would rather go ahead and deal with that and have, at that point, you bring Jorge Soler in. Yeah. So that's just my thinking of it. And I just think this Braves team, they don't feel the pressure that Max Fried felt the pressure last night. And I think it's what wore him down. He was not hitting his spots. And honestly, I think they left him in the game too long. It was very obvious that he was not pitching well. So like I said, I'm not worried about it. If I sit here and let myself worry about it, yeah, I'll worry about it. But
I was going to say, we'll check back after 2 hours to talk about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I do think there's a good portion of this Braves roster that's probably, and I don't follow them all year like you do, but there's a portion of this Braves roster that's probably too young and dumb to know any better. And sometimes that's a good thing when there might be some history in it with an organization or a city.
Jock Peterson alone won't let this team be tight. So
it's Jocktober.
It's Jocktober, baby, and we're gonna be back in the chop shop. And look, that fan base is gonna pick them up. I just and look, if you're a Braves ticket holder, it's what you want. You want to clinch in front of the home crowd, right? So, anyways, the game tonight is a big game. Obviously, Game 6. I think that the Red Sox will force a Game 7. They've got Eovaldi going to the mound. That guy's been money. And I think we'll get a Game 7, which will be make for a great Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. I hope it gets to a Game 7. I think my biggest reasoning for that, and I don't particularly care for either one of the 2 franchises that are involved, but if it gets to Game 7, somebody's getting their heart broken. So I'm all for that, whichever side it is. I'm down for a little humbling for both of those groups.
Right. So let's move on. And the AAC is now adding a total of 6 teams. Does this seem like a big bunch of crap of nothing? As it does to me, because the teams are adding, none of them were eye-popping. I think they're basically going to be considered the parent club to the Conference USA. What say you?
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, they did add America's team, so you gotta watch out for that.
You all in now on AAC.
When UTSA gets added in, it becomes maybe a Power 5 conference automatically. By the way, the boys are ranked now, and apparently the next game's a sellout, which is something that hasn't happened, I think, in the history of the school. I was reading the other day, but anyway, yeah, I mean, it's really just like, I don't know, Conference USA on steroids, I guess, and then whoever's left behind out of that, then you're headed somewhere else. Like, what's Southern Miss is headed to, like the Sun Belt maybe, or whatever they're doing. And it's funny because Southern Miss back in the late 80s, early 90s, actually through most of the 90s, was a tough out for a lot of teams. I know we struggled with them back in 97. I know FSU obviously lost to Brett Favre back in the day, but they were one where if you had them on the schedule, and I think they even got Alabama once or twice, you knew they were coming and couldn't really take that one for granted. But that program now is obviously in disarray. But this is basically just like a kind of a, whoever's left. And for some, it's an upgrade. For most, it's just, a move just to make sure they've got enough opponents to play and they don't have to go independent and they have some sort of TV contract. I think that's the biggest thing. It's nothing groundbreaking really happened with that yesterday. The groundbreaking stuff happened a few months ago or whatever with UCF and Cincinnati and everyone that's going to the Big 12.
Yeah, when I saw it and I saw what was the additions, I mean, all I could think of was they should have just combined forces with the Big 12. They should have just made it like a super conference and put like 38 teams in there. And maybe they'll, on any given year, have 2 or 3 contenders if you put 38 teams in there. What'll be interesting to me going forward down the line is, will the Big 12 be considered a Power 5 conference? That's the thing that interests me the most out of any of this stuff.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't know if they will be, considering, I mean, is the Big 12 that much better than the AAC at this point? They've got a couple of decent programs, but on a consistent basis, none of them are national contenders. The only thing that was even keeping the Big 12 per se in the conversation year in year out was having Oklahoma in there.
Right.
They're gone, and Texas is gone, and that's just a name brand to the Big 12. I mean, from the Big 12 to the SEC. To me, you know what Texas football is to me? It's RC Cola. And so it's a name everybody knows and a name everybody thinks is really good until they actually open it up and peel it back. And they go, this isn't as good as I thought, as I remembered it. And so they're the RC Cola of college football. Everybody wants to like it because of the nostalgia, but you don't really like it. You're like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'll take a 7-Up instead. So, and the problem with the AAC and all what they have added is that they're just the Czech cola of college football. They're like, you see, and you don't like it. I don't want any of that. I don't do any of that.
Right.
But anyways.
Wow. As a former employee when I was in high school, said supermarket that carried Czech cola. I know where you're coming from. That's the Bill Elliott Czech cola. That's awesome. I haven't thought about Czech cola in a long time. That's really funny.
Squirt. Ever drink Squirt? It's like the off version of Mellow Yellow or Mountain Dew. You're on hard times when you're drinking Squirt.
That's right.
It's also a terrible name. Every time I would see that in the store, I get conjure up things in my head. Go, really? I'm sticking that in my mouth.
It'll be interesting though to see what they do bowl matchups. Like the Big 12 too. Like in 5 years is going to play what, the SEC 6 somewhere.
I don't know what. I don't know. Well, it sounds like all these conferences are going to be flipping the script around 2023.
Right.
But I don't think they're going to get their act together quick enough to get it done by next year. Any of them. I know they've talked about it, but do you think the SEC is going to move that quickly to be able to get? I mean, why do that? Cost yourself millions of dollars, give the Big 12 millions of dollars when you can just wait it out an extra year.
Right. Exactly. It's half that stuff. It seems like it's going to get settled in the courts anyway between Texas, OU, and the Big 12. That's the biggest thing. I think the SEC they need a year or two probably to get everything situated or whatever. But I think for OU and Texas, I think they'd rather get their hands on that SEC money, I think, sooner rather than later. But I think eventually the courts will get involved in that part of it. But I think I'm with you. I think it's going to be 2024, I think, before we start to really see the schedule show Texas and OU in football. Now, some of the other sports, they might sneak in a little bit earlier. I know it is kind of funny, though, because in the last year or two, you've had some of the SEC schools schedule stuff with OU and Texas. I know Florida's supposed to go to Texas in 8 years or something like that. And Tennessee's played OU. I think Georgia's supposed to play OU down the road. And I know Alabama and Texas are playing in baseball this year. So you've seen a little bit more of it. And whether it's coincidence or not, because these schedules are set up a year or two in advance in baseball and in basketball, whether it's coincidence or not, it is kind of funny. You'll see some of that here the next few years anyway.
Moving on to actually what's going on in the Southeastern Conference, kind of a dud weekend. We get Tennessee, Alabama. That could be entertaining. That's the 7:00 ESPN game for some unknown reason. We're getting LSU and Ole Miss at 3:30 Eastern. And I know LSU had a big win against Florida, but they're not a good football team. And even if they do upset Ole Miss, there's nothing intriguing about that game that's going to get everyone going. I mean, you might tune in to watch Ole Miss's offense and see if Kiffin can put it on LSU. But from a national standpoint, Ole Miss is going to have to run the table, have any shot of doing anything. And LSU is done. And they've already pretty much announced it without announcing it that Orgeron's not coming back already. He gets a huge win against the Gators on Saturday, and by Sunday morning they said, yeah, he's fired. I'm like, what does this guy have to do to save his job? I'll tell you right now, I think the LSU job is one of the worst jobs in the country. And the reason why I say that is their expectations are more ridiculous than Florida, Georgia, more ridiculous than Florida State fans, more ridiculous than they might even be more ridiculous than what Southern Cal fans and Notre Dame fans are. Because they are a very good program. They just won a national championship 2 seasons ago. Last year, I'm sorry, but you can't count that year. It's a pandemic year. It sucked. Everyone sucked. And they lost all their guys. So this is realistically the first year after the national championship. They're 4-3. And they're going to fire the head coach. What head coach of any kind of ilk and good standing is going to take that job? It's going to have to be someone who's desperate. It's either going to be someone from a lower mid-major school, or it's going to have to be someone who's a retread from somewhere. But I guess my point is, you're not going to get an up-and-coming coach to say, hey, yeah, let's go to LSU because I can be fired within 2 or 3 seasons easily. What say you?
Yeah, I think
or am I just grumpy as hell because I was up late last night?
Well, so I think, don't get me wrong, if Orgeron was, 5-2 or 6-2, however many games they've played, and we can talk about last Saturday in a second. Because on no planet was LSU actually expecting to win that game on Saturday, and this announcement was coming, and they basically had this worked out the week of the Florida game. And then they went out and won, which made them kind of realize like either we can do this now or we can wait till the next loss. So I think they just went ahead and announced it just to kind of get it over with and end the speculation. I think in a perfect world, it's a really good job. In this world, I think it's not, because their athletic department is a mess right now. They've got an AD who doesn't know what he's doing. They've got a bunch of Title IX allegations and stuff going on behind him. You've got Will Wade, who's still somehow coaching college basketball with his voice on a phone tap, paying players. And just the culture around everything there right now is really bad. And that's really why I wasn't worried about Florida's baseball coach leaving to go there, because it's a mess right now over at LSU. I do think it's a good opportunity for somebody like a Billy Napier, who's at Louisiana right now, I think, and he's been at Clemson, he's been at Alabama. He really, I wish McElwain would have brought him to call plays for him at Florida instead of Nussmeier, but what do I know? I think it's a good spot for him. I think these people that think that like Lane Kiffin's going to go there right away, or that like James Franklin's dumb enough to leave Penn State for LSU, some of these names I'm seeing, like I don't get that. I think there's like 2 or 3 guys that are really like good alternatives for them. And then after that, it's, who knows what's going to happen. It's a great job as far as it recruits itself. I mean, you can fall into a really good recruiting class there year after year. It's loaded with talent. You get Texas, you get LSU, you get Louisiana, they come into Florida and get who they want. So there's a lot of pros to it, but yeah, it's going to take a guy who has the cojones kind of to make that jump, and they've got to give this next coach like 4 years, because there's a giant culture change that needs to happen at LSU, and it's a matter of will they actually do that.
I think if you go to that job, you are just burned out and you're ready for a break, because you're like, you know what? I'll take this job. I'll get a good payday. I'll get fired in 2 years, and then I can really just chill out and relax and kind of go see Europe and everything. So yeah, sure, I'll take the gig, because other than that, you're setting yourself up for impending doom. They run everybody out of there. Nick Saban would have been fired eventually. I guarantee it. Nick Saban would have been fired from LSU, because they would have said, well, you haven't won one in like 4 years. And this is getting a little ridiculous because we're LSU and I got Swagoo and what's the other idiot's name? Booger McFarland and Ryan, whatever the hell his name is. And where they're all on ESPN telling you how LSU is elite. And they're top 15, but they're not what I would consider, they're not Alabama. And even Alabama wouldn't have ran off Saban after just 3 years not winning the national championship. I really don't think they would have. But they have just delusions of grandeur is LSU football.
Yeah, it's one of those, you said this before, it's one of those programs where like you're watching an NFL game and you're like, oh yeah, that guy did go to LSU, because he did a little bit there, but it wasn't like a, national stamped name or something like that. And
I thought he sounded familiar. You're like,
yeah.
I thought I knew that guy's name. I didn't know I knew him from LSU, but I thought I knew his name.
Yeah, like you're watching an old game or something, like, well, damn, Tyrann Mathieu was on this team. So
I remember that guy when he was a USA Today All-American 5-star recruit. I don't remember where he went to college, but I do remember that part.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it could be a great job, but I'm kind of with you. I think there's a lot of negatives to it. I think they're trying to get.
I saw a Gator fan forum where they were worried about Mullen. Mullen would not leave to go there. If Mullen would leave to go anywhere, it would be like Southern Cal. Okay. He's not leaving to go. Florida to LSU, to me, first of all, is a you're what do they call it?
Lateral move.
Yeah, lateral move. And the Florida fan base is not as psychotic as the LSU fan base. And you won't hear me say that very often, but they're not, because they want to win. If you keep them competitive in the SEC East, they will be happy as hell in Gainesville. LSU expects for them to dethrone Alabama every single season, and if you don't do it every other year, then they're like, something's wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm with you on LSU's team this year. They're just okay, and then last weekend you throw in that they've got like 7 starters out, and didn't do anything all season. And I mean, Florida fans are pretty pissed. I mean, I think Mullen wishes there was a game this weekend just because, you get 2 weeks with Georgia. So this week is everybody's mad. And then next week will be everybody's expecting us to get killed, which is probably going to happen. But, it's all this stuff now in the last 3 weeks. He's got a miserable record the last 8 games against schools that matter, not including USF and FAU. And all of a sudden, the lack of depth, and if LSU can go beat us with a bunch of second stringers, our first stringers can't really match up with him. That's a recruiting issue. And he's basically going to be forced to play Anthony Richardson, which is who he should have been playing if he was healthy, for most of the year anyway. Jones went out, threw a bunch of picks. He made 2 great throws and made a bunch of lousy ones. It doesn't matter to me. It could be Richardson, Emory Jones, Johnny Unitas, John Elway. It doesn't matter. Florida's probably not going to do a lot against Georgia's defense, and Lord knows our defense isn't any good. But
I kept seeing interceptions thrown off the back foot by both quarterbacks.
Yes, both. I mean, Richardson's got to learn how to eat it. This isn't high school. You can't throw it with 4 guys hanging off of you and it just flutters to the sidelines. And then Jones just is fundamentally, I think, a disaster anytime he feels any kind of pressure. And then the defense is a whole nother conversation. But to me, Mullen either needs to get serious with this and get some assistant coaches who can actually recruit and find a coordinator that knows how to call defenses in 2021 and not hire either keep Grantham, or hire some old fart that he knows, or Manny Diaz, who's just another Randy Shannon.
Quit hiring
a young guy that knows how to stop an offense nowadays.
Right.
Everybody's
now. That's the bad news. The good news is you're not Clemson going to Pittsburgh as a 4-point underdog this weekend. Can you imagine what that fan base is going? They're going.
Luckily, I know. Isn't that crazy? Luckily, the back half of our schedule, other than FSU, who's been playing well the last few weeks, the back half of the schedule is terrible. South Carolina barely beat Vanderbilt. We'll beat Samford, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
But, I mean,
although Sanford's is better than Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And I think I want to say Chris Hatcher's still the coach there. I'm not sure, but anyway, assuming we lose to Georgia, if you lose another one of those last 3 and one of them might be FSU, if that happens, watch out. Nothing would shock me at this point.
FSU has a chance to beat Miami. They don't have a chance of beating Florida. It's in Gainesville. It's cute what Florida State's done here so far, but if you still look at it from if you're watching Florida State football from whistle to whistle, it's still the same offense where there's not a whole lot of threat downfield, and Florida's going to have the athletes to be able to stay in front of them. The only way FSU makes that thing competitive is a turnovers. That is the only way. And I'm talking about not, we got 3 and they got 2. I'm talking about it's gonna have to be a 5-to-1 ratio, and they're gonna have to play a perfect game. So
as long as FSU doesn't know how to run a counter play 26 times in one game and have it work 24 out of 26 times, Florida might be okay. But apparently that was an issue last weekend.
Unless they figured out during this bye week how to actually tackle, inform tackle, then I think you're fine. We won't find out this week as they're playing at UMass, but there's a lot of games. There's some decent ball games this weekend. We'll be able to get into that tomorrow. What is your walk-off for the day?
The Jaguars got off the schneid. That was nice.
Yeah.
I don't know how in the world that kicker made the first one, because I think as soon as that first kick left his foot, I put my head down thinking it was about 10 yards wide. And by the time I lifted my head up, it went through and they had tied the game. But anyway, Jaguars won in overtime. Golf this weekend, it's kind of funny. It's in Japan. So I think it started last night at 11 o'clock, which is around the time that I went to bed. So that's not really going to be in the headlines this week. There are some names. It is an actual FedEx Cup event, kind of a joint thing between Japan and the U.S. So there are some big names, not a bunch. But yeah, it should be a fun weekend. We'll get a bunch of honeydews done. Jaguars aren't playing, Gators aren't playing, but I'll sit around on my butt and watch a bunch of football and baseball tomorrow.
Yeah,
tomorrow too.
I mean, honestly, the great news for Major League Baseball, if they do get that doubleheader, they're going to have the stage themselves essentially, because all your really big games. Although that Tennessee-Alabama game, I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow because I think that one could be a little more interesting. It's gone down to 25, but when the line opened up this week, I grabbed it at 28 points.
Oh wow,
28. That means, come on, that's
a lot.
That's a lot, even for Alabama. All right, brother. We will see you mañana.
All right, sounds good, man. Take care.
Yes, sir. We'll be back in a flash here with Justin and Joey.
Before Bauer threw a single pitch in college, Garrett Cole called him out in front of the whole team during a workout, saying that Bauer had no future in baseball, he didn't work hard, and that he was a quote-unquote The two barely talked again throughout college. One coach at UCLA says the odds of Earth burning up are better than them ever talking again. And this feud would go on well into their major league careers. But Garrett Cole was not the only one at UCLA who had problems with Bauer. As a freshman, during the team's first road trip, Bauer's shoulder tube got lost by the airline. He made the whole team wait at the airport for over an hour and apparently said he refused to pitch if he couldn't find it because it would put him at risk of injury. His teammates began referring to his shoulder tube as his quote-unquote penis pole and later got him back by stealing it, hiding it in a tree, and making him climb it to get it back. Another teammate says that he had to stop multiple players from fighting Trevor because he would snap on people for patting him on the back after a bad inning. Another teammate says he talked to Trevor once in college and was quote-unquote good for a lifetime. In one game against Cal, he faced his former high school teammate, and the two had been talking trash all game. After getting him to ground out for the last out, Bauer started yelling at him and the benches cleared. Bauer later said that the two hated each other in high school after Bauer beamed him with a fastball on purpose during a practice because he called Bauer out for playing shortstop instead of shagging balls in the outfield like the rest of the pitchers, something Trevor says he did for arm strength.
The Buffalo Bills, the best team of all time. They're going to go 16-1. They're Super Bowl locks. What happened to Josh Allen is top 2 just because he beat the Chiefs one game? I thought you guys said you were the best team in the NFL. No one listens when I say they're overrated. They just lost a 1v11 to a running back. I don't want to hear it. You guys blew your chances in the 90s. Just give up.
Like I said before, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, we going to line up, we going to play. Be the top team in Nashville. The fans showed up. We love y'all. Tighten up, baby.
Armchair.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
But what the hell, boy?
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Armchair.
YouTube Live.
CBS Sports
Radio Station.
The radio station you can call your own. Do you know what listeners like about our station? It's everything.
I like everything. It's always on my radio.
Never stop the music, except for now, when I talk.
Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern Sports Talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Microphones work better when you turn them on. UT Bama weekend. Game 6, hopefully not game 7 of Dodgers Braves. I need some help, folks. Come on.
Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. The Braves lost last night. Everyone's doom and gloom. If I would have told you that we would be up 3-2 heading back to Atlanta with Ian Anderson and Charlie Morton on the hill to take us to the World Series just a few weeks ago, you would have shook my hand right then and ran out of the room. Now everyone's talking about, the Falcons blew the Super Bowl lead. The hell does that got to do with Atlanta Braves baseball?
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee, sitting alongside Justin Waller. Joey's on the way. Justin, how are you this morning, my friend?
Doing good, Mac. I'm not doom and gloom. I mean, if I'm mad about a game, it's the debacle in game 3 that you ever sent a right-handed Luke Jackson out to close out something with a 3-run lead in the 8th. But, that's neither here nor there. You did what you had to do. You went on the road and you got one win against the Dodgers. That's what had to happen. They stole a game. Doesn't matter how it came. Look, they reversed roles. Each team won a bullpen game. Whoop-de-doo. You had to win a game. That's what matters. You've got Ian Anderson, like you alluded to, at home this weekend. And then you've got arguably one of the best game 7 pitchers in Charlie Morton coming out. So you have to feel bats took a day off. The bullpen shut them down. They didn't see the same pitcher twice. So, hey, there's a lot of things. It's not doom and gloom. I know that their 3-run or 3-1 series leads in the championship series is not a good record. But, hey, this is why I wanted the Dodgers. They're gonna have to knock them off, and I think they'll do it.
Yeah, I think it probably gets done tomorrow night. I think that you're gonna have the whole fan base behind you. You're gonna have that place rocking. I for one selfishly hope that the Red Sox and Astros go 7, so that'll make it a 5:00 Eastern game. Because we've got plans tomorrow night, and if we have to wait for the end of the Braves game, that's just going to be a really long night. Right now, the game is expected to be 5:00 Eastern. If the Red Sox, now you talk about a team that's on the brink, they're about to choke it away. They're up 2-1, and now they're facing elimination. If the Red Sox choke it away and lose tonight, they will probably slide that start time up somewhere between the 7 and 8 o'clock Eastern time slot. They haven't made that announcement, but that would make a lot of sense if they did decide to do that. I'll just put it that way. Because it's on TBS. It's not on another station where they have like a football game already planned. So you're going to play at 5:00 no matter what. So we'll see what happens, what they decide to do that. But you got to get through tonight's game. I do think that the Red Sox will probably win tonight, because they're sending Eovaldi to the mound. I think this team's got a lot of fight in them, and I don't think they're just going to roll over. For Braves fans who have asked me, several Braves fans have asked me what the scenario is. If the Red Sox win and go to the World Series and the Braves win, the Braves would start off at home against Boston because they won the division, and the Red Sox are a wild card team, even though the Red Sox have more wins. That's how it's supposed to be, unless they've changed it. And I'm not aware of it, but I'm pretty sure that that's how it's the same reason why Atlanta is hosting the Dodgers right now. But if the Astros win and the Braves face the Astros, it'll be in Houston because they have more wins. And no matter what happens, well, if the Dodgers were to go and face the Astros home field, but the Dodgers have more wins than the Red Sox, and because they're both wild cards, the Dodgers would get home field. Well, that ain't happening. They're not coming into the chop house and taking 2 games against Hotlanta GA. I know we are not the team we wish we were. We don't have Acuna. We don't have Soroka. We don't have even Ozuna. Everyone forgets about that whole debacle. But they got Soler back. I don't think it do you think they would start him? Because I don't think they would, especially against a right-handed Scherzer. I think they'll leave him on the bench and have Jock and Rosario start lefty-righty matchup. And then at some point you can pull Soler off the bench. If they throw a lefty to try to get Jock out, you can put Soler there and put him in the outfield. What say you?
Jock's gone cold. I don't know if that's because they were out in LA and maybe it mounted to him, but he's gone 1 for 9. I put Soler in there because you want to get him some bats in game 6 in case there is a game 7. You're going to need him. So I think I start him and then I'll pull Jock when I need him. And he goes back to my bench, what we saw in the previous series or pre the COVID pullout. But I don't know. I'm mixed. I could see either way, but I say right now I'm getting Soler some at bats and some field play in Game 6 just to ensure that we're not in a bad situation. Game 7 should it happen.
Well, remember Soler was rusty as hell too. I mean, Soler wasn't swinging the bat well at all before he went on the COVID list, and he's got 11 days of rust. I just don't think this is a good time to put a brand new bat in. That's just my take on it. And it would be different if they were about to face a lefty, but I like the lefty-righty matchup. I'm not saying have Jock up high in the order. I think he's fine where he's at. Thankfully, Freddie's gotten hot. Mr. Joey, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing good. It's good to be back here. I know you guys are probably mixed up in a lot of the Braves-Dodgers action, as that's been an action-packed series. I'm glad to see the Braves have a lead going into the home field, but good to be back. Another sports-loaded weekend until baseball's over. So, Justin, how are you? Mac, let's get it.
I guess let's go ahead and dive into our picks. Justin, are you expecting Atlanta to close it out tomorrow night? Because I am. I think Scherzer's on fumes, to be honest with you, and I think Atlanta's going to be able to get to him. I expect a much better performance from Ian Anderson. Just to put a cap on this.
If they're going to do it, it better be in Game 6, because if it keeps to Game 7, then you got to worry about the mental aspect of that roster, top to bottom. I don't think it'll go 7. I think they close it out in 6. I'm
not worried about the mental aspect of it. This team isn't. It's built differently, and they know they're going to have Charlie. I think having Charlie Morton on the mound in Game 7 gives them that.
I don't know that it's him, but how do you keep Snicker from making a boneheaded move?
Well, yeah,
that's the one that concerns me. They're fighting the team, but we can't stop him from doing something boneheaded. Like, I mean, Game 4, he stood Luke Jackson up. He almost warmed him up. The camera went out there and I about lost it. And somebody thankfully ran out there and stopped. You can't throw him back out there right now unless you've got a slew of righties coming up, which I don't know where you perfectly find that in the Dodgers lineup.
That was more of a situation. I think the reason why that they wanted to give him a mental break, but he was going to come in if need be. That was not necessarily anything to do with Luke Jackson. In that spot when they left him in to face Bellinger, that was just dopey.
You called it. You called it in the broadcast. I was listening to the show and you said literally, I'm scared of this guy. Don't know why we're pitching to him here. I still memorize that word for word because that was the sinking hit, but you called that.
I was like, if you're gonna leave him in, then pitch around him. And I say pitch around him, I mean he had 2 strikes on him. Go and throw that stupid curveball that nobody swings at, but every once in a while they do with the dirt, and just do that, right? Just do that. If he gave him a freaking cheese and everyone's like, oh, he just hit an incredibly hard pitch. No, he didn't. He had a fastball that was about letter high, and that is Mr. Bellinger's wheelhouse.
Oh, yeah. He had that funky axe chop on it. That one was launched.
And not to mention, the one thing I do remember from the broadcast, the very first pitch, me mentioning that he came out of his shoes, and he did. Mm-hmm. You knew he wasn't just trying to get on. He was trying to launch the ball. And so yeah.
I mean, everybody gets excited when you get to swing at the tater machine.
Just stupid to have lefty righty situation there where you didn't have to. You did not have to do that. The only thing I don't like about Snicker on a lot of there's a lot of things I don't like, but the main thing that I don't like about him is that he has not grasped the fact we do all this analytical crap, right? Constant with the shifts, and it just drives me nuts because we overshift and create singles all year long. We've done it, and the Dodgers are beating us to death with that. That's what I watched all last night. It was a right-handed batter just poking it out to right field because 3 of our defensive players are left of the second base bag. Freddie Freeman's over there by himself. He's supposed to, unless it's an atom ball, it's going to be, you have to just dribble anything over there. I don't know why they're not doing more swinging bunts to that side, just kind of playing fungo bat, just pop it over there. But out of all the things that he does not grasp, that I think he should grasp, Justin, is this. When the game is on the line, I don't care what inning it is, put your best guy in the best position, worry about the end of the game at the end of the game. So we were in the 8th inning.
You bringing Martin in or somebody to close it out.
We were in the 8th inning. There was 1 out. The tying run was a left-hander on at the plate. That's when you bring Will Smith in. Because if you hold them there, it is devastating, and you can bring Will Smith back up for the next inning. And if he puts a guy on, have someone ready to roll after him, right? But that's
I see your point. I would have brought Matzik one more. The up down first sign of struggle, then I go pull him. But I would have.
Have him ready. He wasn't ready. He's back there scratching his butt in the bullpen. It's like, dude, have him ready. It was crazy. Well, we got to move on because we don't have as much time as we'd like to talk all this stuff. But oy vey, I have total confidence in them right now, and as I say that, I'm shaking a little bit. But anyways, point to the doll and tell me where the Braves hurt you. It's devastating because we wanted to close it out and we think it's doom and gloom, but you got to think of the big picture, guys. We're up 3-2 heading back to Atlanta. And we don't have a bullpen game in front of us, right? We have 2 of our best starters. Max Fried laid an egg, but hey, Urias laid an egg for them. And I don't think Max Scherzer is going to go deep in this game. I know he's had several days rest, but I'm telling you right now that he's 30-something years old, and I think they wore
this pitch count this year coming off of last season is definitely taking its toll. That short season last year plus the volume of innings this season I think you're seeing it a lot. These arms are just tired, and Justin, it's not that he can't hit the zone. It's that one sinker or one off speed hangs 2 to 3 inches, and that's in the sweet spot of a very deadly. That's the difference we're talking about.
And Freddie's hot, and Freddie wasn't hot the last time he saw Scherzer. And so I think they're going to get him out of the game. And once we get him out of the game, remember something else. I mentioned this towards the end of the broadcast. I doubt anyone. I saw at the time there was like a dozen people watching at that point because everyone's like, good Lord, let me get to bed. But we saw Jansen at the end of the game. I was surprised they put him in. Because the more you see a closer, that only helps you later in the series. That only helps you. And it was the heart of our lineup that saw him. It wasn't like pinch hitters were seeing Jansen.
Ozzie, to your point of Freddie, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that home run, I know it was the lone, the only offense we saw last night. That was Griffey-esque. That was pure. That was a swing. Freddie's on. And I like seeing that coming back home.
Assuming all these guys are in the lineup tomorrow night, Jock's going to go deep. Freddie's going to go deep. I think Ozzie finally gets a home run in this series. Ozzie's been cold as hell. He's gotten on base and caused havoc, but he's been cold as hell. All right. This is our 27th attempt to switch gears to football. So here we go again.
Not easy.
Anyone want to talk about the beginning of the NBA season before we do? All right, here we go. Justin, where are you going for your lock of the day? I'm doing this by the seat of my pants shot because I did not get a chance to do any of this last night.
Well, I don't think that it's fair that I just take Alabama on the money line. So, although that's a pretty good lock right there, folks.
I like that lock.
Don't be messing around. You don't need points, but I will go with that game, and I'm going to take the over 66.5. Some points will be scored. I'm not saying that Tennessee's going to get half those, but Bama might get 46, and Tennessee can come up with the other 20-21. I think we'll be okay.
Crazy enough as it sounds, that might be the biggest game of the day tomorrow. And it's an ESPN night game. I still don't understand why that's not our CBS game of the week, but
because Tennessee pissed off the world by littering the field, so now we must be punished and spanked by Alabama in prime time. I mean, we just got to take our punishment, baby.
But actual prime time in college football is 3:30 Eastern on CBS. That's the one that everybody watches. Their numbers dwarf the ESPN night game, especially tomorrow night with all the baseball that's going to be going on and whatever snooze fest ABC has on.
Ohio State versus Indiana.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
That's a great matchup in 2020.
Can this be last year's matchup?
Joey, where are you going?
I'm going to go with Ole Miss at home against LSU. I have it right now at -9, but as long as it doesn't get to 10, I feel pretty comfortable taking Ole Miss, regardless if it's in that area. But I'm going to take Ole Miss. I have it at -9, and I trust Matt Corral and the boys to lead this team to a pretty big victory against an LSU team that hasn't played up to par and a little interesting coaching things they got going on. So Ole Miss for me, given the points.
All right, so that's your college lock. My college lock, I'm going to go ahead and put the kiss of death on my boys. Florida State, their team total is 47.5 at home against UMass. And it's an early game. That's the only thing that concerns me a little bit. You know, will you be awake? But they were off last week. So I think they're going to be ready to go. They'll be jazzed up. And I think they're going to be chucking the ball all over the place because they've got to get ready for Clemson next week. And UMass is a pretty bad football program. I hope Florida State can hang 48. If not, then if they win this game like 31-26 or something, I'm like, oh, here we go. So I got FSU as the lock, 47.5. I think they're actually going to crack well over 50 tomorrow. They got to have a signature game this year where everyone's like, man, they look good, even though it's UMass. Justin, what is your next pick?
Wasn't that the Carolina game?
Well, it was. If you put 35 points on the road against Carolina, you ought to be able to put 48 at home against UMass.
Okay. Fair. All right. Next one.
And if not, we'll do it during basketball season. So we go.
We'll get you next quarter. I'm going to roll with my theme of the over-under and keep this rolling. I'm going to take the over 48 in the Clemson-Pittsburgh game. I think that'll be a little bit. 48's low enough that I don't think this is going to be a barn burner and out there, but it'll touch 50.
All right. Joey, where are you going?
Well, in our ABC game of the week, that's so great. I'm going to take Ohio State and give up the 3 touchdowns. I know that's a lot of points, but I just think CJ Stroud and the boys have really gotten on a roll, and Indiana never feels to hit stride. They're playing a lot of games down early and not even playing good on their home field. So I'm going to take Ohio State, give the 3 touchdowns.
I don't know what has to be changed, but something's got to be changed on the way that they choose their minus 21.5 is the line. Okay, so minus 21.5.
Yeah.
So something's got to be changed on how ABC chooses their games,
please,
or gets their games awarded to them. Because I know they don't have the pecking order, but man, they've got to do something because this is just atrocious. Whether you're a fan of Big Ten football or not, you have to admit when it's a 3 touchdown spread and they're not both ranked, that's a bad draw.
We love Big Ten football over here, but we rather have that game be on Big Ten Network and get something else on. Get it off the base.
And look, it could be a close game. Don't get me wrong. It could be a close game, but it's not a good optics. Correct. Tennessee, Alabama, to me, is a game that should be either the CBS primetime or the ABC primetime, not ESPN on the back burner. Because of all the games tomorrow, that's the one that's got the best chance of doing anything. And I'm going to go with that theme, and I'm going to take the Tennessee Volunteers and the points. I grabbed this early in the week when the Vols were plus 27.5, and I bought a point to make it 28.5. Now it's down to 25, but I'll take that 25. I think it'll be back and forth. Do I think Tennessee will win? Probably not. But 25 points, that's a lot of points. I think it's a little bit disrespectful for a Tennessee team that's looked pretty good recently. Justin, what say you?
I hope you're right.
You're like, you kissing that bastard.
I can't say what I want to. I can't really say what I want to say right now.
The Braves and the freaking Vols are going to be losing tomorrow night, and I'm going to be cussing McGee.
Hell, I'll just compound the problem, and I'll take the Titans and Chiefs over 57.5. We'll just compound it all out, and I'll give my whole weekend the kiss of death. I'm trying to stay neutral, but that's a game of no defenses and two very high octane offenses. I don't know why it's so low, but I'll take 57.5. The over.
Before we go to Joey's pick real quick, because we haven't had a chance to talk about this, Tennessee got the big win Monday night. Huge defensive stop.
Huge.
Usually a team is flat when they play a Monday night game and have an early kickoff on Sunday, and they're playing the Chiefs. Are you concerned about this game? Not just on the win loss, but Tennessee may not show up. They might be gassed.
It's a possibility. I can see that, but this offense still has things. They've got things they're working on. I mean, you still don't have your chemistry between your 1 and 2 wide receivers and your starting quarterback. So there are a lot of things, and I feel they will be chasing points with this secondary. I mean, when the Fulton tearing the ACL and you losing him again, that's brutal to have the blows they've had in that secondary, and it's going to be a shootout. That's why I'm not staring anywhere near points either way, but over under is the only thing I'm looking at, and the Chiefs might hang 60 themselves.
Monday Night Football has been the difference in that division. The Colts couldn't finish against a good Baltimore team, and Tennessee finished against a good Buffalo team, and that's the difference right now. So kudos to Tennessee for getting
you
that.
Keep telling yourself that the difference is the Colts suck and the Titans don't.
Oh, hey, 6 games in. Easy to say now. Easy to say now.
I said at the beginning of the year.
No. I know you have. I'm saying, but there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go.
Yeah,
you guys, the
Derrick
Titans
Henry
have the
hasn't hit
hardest.
2,000 yards yet, so I mean we got a ways more to go.
They got the Rams and Chiefs coming up. You guys come to hear Halloween, but we'll talk about that next week, I'm sure.
We're gonna just take it easy, probably rest everyone this week, so we make sure we kick the crap out of the Colts next week, and then at that point have like a 3-4 game lead essentially.
That it would. You guys win that one, it's over. I'll say that.
It's over. You just haven't gotten the memo yet. You live.
Oh, it's not over yet. Can't ever say
that. I think your Colts colored fax machine is broken because that memo was set out a few weeks ago. It's over.
Hey, we'll be able to put up points in Indy against you guys. We'll see what happens next week.
It's still over. Anyways, what is your pick?
My last pick will be Oregon, taking on UCLA. I think it's 1 point one of the ways, but either way, I'm taking Oregon no matter what. I don't trust Chip Kelly. I bet big on him once this year, and he let me down. So I'm steering clear of them and going to go with Oregon on the road against UCLA.
Okay. My last one, I'm going to take the Pitt Panthers -3 against Clemson. Clemson's coming to Pittsburgh, and that's just name. That's all that is. That's name is what that is. I think Clemson's not going to be able to score a whole lot of points against Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh will be able to score. And I do like Justin's lean on the +48 because that's a low over-under for college football. But I see it somewhere where Pittsburgh wins that game by about 10 to 14 points, something like that. If not, then Pittsburgh is pulling a choke job. That's just my opinion on that, because Pittsburgh has played much better football than what Clemson's played so far. You got to put games like this away. You absolutely cannot just sit there and you can't muddle through just because they have an orange paw on their helmet. You have to go through and say, look, it's ready to roll. We're going to put them away, and we're going to start marching towards the ACC championship game. And Pittsburgh, remember, they beat Tennessee earlier this year. They're a pretty good football club. It's 3:30 kickoff in Pittsburgh. Shoot.
Mac likes that one.
What's old Dr. Pepper boy's name? Ugalele. He ain't gonna be hang no points on them Panthers. Panthers, baby. The ghost of Tony Dorsett is calling. Justin, what's your walk-off for the day, sir?
Oh, please, sports God, give me love this weekend. I need 3 W's, and I don't care how I get them.
Please reverse all the jinxes McGee just put on there.
Please undo
I
that.
took Florida State. I took the Vols. I'm telling the Braves are going to march on. I'm like, I'm already going and giving the Titans the division championship. Definitely.
I'm torn though. If I could only pick one,
Braves. Braves. It's not even close. Braves.
You got to send them Rammer Jammers back home, baby. Go Vols.
If the Braves can go to the World Series for the first time in 22 years, I'll even let Florida State lose to UMass. That's how much I'm ready for this. 22 years. If the Vols win, what is that? That's the difference between.
Hell, it's been 22 years since we beat Nick Saban. It hasn't been that long, but it feels like it.
That's like the difference between going to the Cheetos Bowl compared to I don't know what they're called anymore, the Tax Slayer Bowl.
It doesn't matter. You get to walk outside in Middle Tennessee and piss off all your neighbors. That's what's amazing. That's why I need it back. I mean, the infiltration has begun, Mac.
It is.
You wouldn't recognize it anymore.
It's time to watch the LA Dodger bandwagon crumble tomorrow evening.
Please, let's go.
All these people are like, God, Dodgers. They can't name 3 players on the team.
And that's
this elimination streak that we keep hearing about. Now, granted, I hope it doesn't go 2 more games, but they've worn that out. I hope they have a new topic for game 6 and 7 to discuss other than their history against elimination games.
Dodgers Twitter be like, yeah, this Cody Bellinger's pretty good, man. I think he's got a good future. And that Chris Taylor kid, he's really up and coming.
He's a free agent. Somebody might sign him next year. Wonder who it should be.
I don't know where he came from.
Gentlemen, y'all have a great weekend. Everybody be safe. Talk to everyone Monday and chop on, Braves. Let's do this, man. Come on. Snitty, stay home.
Good luck, Justin.
Thank you, buddy. You good luck next weekend, sir.
Hey, we'll talk next Friday. I've already gotten enough.
I already got my lock of the week, and we'll just call it now. Titans.
Oh, Titans spread it.
Have a good weekend, gentlemen.
All right, brother. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks. When we come back, it's our NFL picks. Keep it locked in here on CBS Sports Radio and YouTube Live.
God would never let me be successful. He'll kill me first. He'll never let me be happy.
I thought you didn't believe in God.
I do for the bad things.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Armchair Quarterback Radio, your home for the SEC.
Back third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw and a run. Complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey Scott, 35, 41. Lindsey, 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey Scott.
Second down from the 3. Comes the blitz. Quick flip. Caught. Did he hold it long enough? The official says yes. Oh, boy, is that going to be controversial. Gaffney, the freshman. My goodness.
If he had it, he didn't have it very long, that's for sure.
And this one's in the history books. And inexplicably, the Florida Gators go 91 yards to come from behind and edge the Tennessee Volunteers in an ending that will be talked about for years.
Armchair.
Stupid interviews. Hey, you're a member of the Buffalo Bills. How does it feel?
Well, the blessing. I want to thank God. Going to try to do my best. It's a great organization. And I'll say
the last 80 guys said. So, yeah.
It's important to remember the value of taking time for ourselves to do the things that help us grow and explore, like learning something new. And now with the Great Courses Plus, it's never been easier to experience the joys of learning. The Great Courses Plus offers thousands of streaming videos that cover hundreds of fascinating topics, from World War II to choosing the perfect wine. You can even take a course on the U.S. government or dealing with stress and anxiety. And because the Great Courses Plus partners with world-class professors and experts, you're always receiving thoroughly vetted, high-quality content from every lecture. Plus, you can watch or listen anytime, anywhere with the Great Courses Plus app. So take a little time for you. Sign up for the Great Courses Plus today for a free month of unlimited access. Visit thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio to get started. That's thegreatcoursesplus.com/radio.
What is that on your lip?
What?
It's like a discoloration. It's white.
Yes. Yes, it's white. Why is that white?
You'd better get that checked out.
Better get that checked out?
I would.
What kind of a therapist are you? I'm telling you, I'm scared that something terrible is going to happen to me right away. You start looking for tumors?
I'm trying to help you.
I bet you're rooting for a tumor.
I think you'd better go.
Oh, I'm going, baby. I'm going.
Good morning. All right, I apologize. Just seeing a couple of these comments. And Mr. Clapp is what we'll call him. So I'm not going to say that whole name on family radio. But Mr. Clapp was offered a trade. And it's Robbie Anderson and Jamal Williams. It says Jamal Williams. Is he talking about Javonte Williams out of Denver, maybe?
Yeah, because the only other one I know is Detroit's running back, right?
Right. So Williams and Robbie Anderson for Christian Kirk, full PPR. It's kind of a dumpster fire of nothing right there. It is a full point PPR, so you do have to take that into consideration. I'm assuming it's got to be Javonte Williams. I'm going to double check and make sure that I'm not missing something here. Or is it possibly Jamal Williams it's misspelt, but I'm thinking he might be talking about Jamal Williams out of Detroit.
It could be. I think it's just a lackluster trade kind of overall.
So Jamal Williams out of Detroit. All right. So if it's Williams out of Detroit and Robbie Anderson for Christian Kirk, what I'm looking at with Kirk is he's had a couple of good games. He's had some inconsistent games. What you're essentially doing is doing Kirk for Williams because Robbie Anderson at this point has been kind of a big disappointment. What say you on this? And then I'll weigh in.
I mean, if you need a running back, and you're struggling a little bit there, I guess I don't mind doing it because Christian Kirk has 3 touchdowns, Robbie Anderson 2, but Kirk has more catches and yards. So obviously the receiver matchup don't add up. But if you do need a running back, and you're struggling there, you got some injuries with the Cleveland Browns guys or what may have you, I would consider it. But I would have to be struggling at running back to really do this trade because Robbie Anderson's not going to bring you much to the table with Sam Darnold struggling a lot lately.
Yeah,
you'd really have to need a running back for me.
I mean, you have to be. Yeah, that's the thing is that you're not really making this move. You don't care about Robbie Anderson. I'm almost, and if you're doing 2 for 1, are you not going to end up dropping Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, because unless you have a bench that's 10 deep, why would you hold on to him for the whole season?
So, first of all, Brian, nobody's talking about hockey in October. He's going on and on about hockey, and like no one cares. Like that is an instant channel changer. Nobody cares about hockey in October. It's Major League Baseball playoffs. It's NFL. It's college football. Hockey and basketball we'll see at the end of the seasons, of the real seasons. But yeah, that's great. You're 4-0. But I mean, what does that mean? It's October. Everybody gets in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. And by April, who's healthy. Anyways, yeah, I'd say, I don't know, man. He's going to have to give up Christian Kirk. I'd say don't do it unless you're desperate at running back. I would really have to see what your running back situation is. That's the question. If you're just in huge trouble at running back, then okay. And you're solid at wide receiver. You don't think you're going to start Kirk much? Because I believe Robbie Anderson is going to be dropped.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you have a 10 deep bench, why would you keep him for a whole season when you're going to have bye weeks?
It could be a really deep bench in a really deep league, and at that point you're basically just positioning yourself during bye weeks. But yeah, that's where we're at on that. So let's move on. Let's do a deep dive on the National Hockey League here on October 22nd. Oh, wait a minute.
He's still screaming at us. He's 4-0.
That's Michael popped up and said, okay, Brian, they're 4-0, 82 game season. That's 5% of the season is done. And the other big thing is everybody makes the playoffs. So it would be different if this was like baseball where you're like only a few teams are going to make the playoffs and okay, you're really positioning yourself. No, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Snooze fest.
We're in the middle of a pennant race right here.
We're in the middle of a pandemic and you want to talk about hockey.
Come on now, Brian. You're better than that.
People's lives are at stake and you want to talk about hockey. Let's do a deep dive on the Clippers Golden State game last night.
Ooh. Maybe on Christmas Day.
News. I couldn't help but laugh. I was doing the game last night, and I don't remember if it was during the game or maybe right before the game. Probably right before the game because I don't really pay attention to the commercials when I'm doing the broadcast because I'm doing 900 things in between the break. But they were advertising that the NBA was starting on TNT last night. And at 6:00, they were doing some kind of stupid special. And I guess they were doing I don't know when the game started, but I'm assuming the game started somewhere between 7 and 7:30 last night. And they were doing a doubleheader. And the commercial was Bill. NBA begins on TNT tonight. Blah, 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 blah. This is the same station. They're about to have Braves Dodgers game 5. I'm like, who's watching that? Nobody cares about the opening. Heck, it wasn't even opening night. It was.
Well, I thought with the pandemic and stuff, we'd move the NBA down the road because I thought they would like that, but guess not. They're still starting at this stupid early time.
And they're and they came out with some report. NBA on ESPN came out with some report on Twitter the other day claiming that they were up 25 or 23% in viewership in the WNBA. I was like, yeah, right. I'll believe that when I meet a WNBA fan. I will believe that. Yeah, right.
Hey, the Chicago Sky. Shout out Chicago Sky.
Well, what they were doing is that they were including all streaming devices. So what that means is that every employee of the NBA and ESPN have been mandated to run at least 6 devices at their house at all time, putting WNBA junk on TV. Because they gave the number was still pathetic compared to real sports. And I was like, I still don't believe this number. I was like, it's a terrible number. There weren't even, it was nowhere near 1 million for their playoff viewing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, someone's lying about these numbers. Because now I will say this, because they've changed when they play, because they used to have their championships in the middle of the summer.
Yep.
And now it's in the fall, where people just don't have as much to do, right? But I still have a hard time believing anyone's turning off the NFL, college football, or Major League Baseball playoffs to watch that unwatchable junk. I mean, that is just junk. But anyways, they're like, oh, it's up 23%. I was like, yeah, right. Yeah, right.
All those parents are at home, 3 TVs on, couple cell phones, a laptop.
And the funny thing is, when they're bragging about it being up from last year, they were at an all-time low last year because of all their, wokeness and all that stuff that they did all over. So to be up and be bragging about, oh, we're almost back to where we were in 2017 when almost nobody watches. Last year, absolutely nobody watches, but now nobody watches us. That's just like nobody's watching the WNBA. Not even at gunpoint. No, it didn't shit me. I'm done. If I gotta sit here and watch a WNBA game, I'm out. No.
I'm not running out to get my Chicago Sky gear anytime soon, even though they won it. I could tell you that.
I'm more likely to watch reruns of the Goldbergs, marathon than I'm going to sit there and watch the WNBA. What would you rather watch than the WNBA? That should be the topic today. Think of the worst thing that you could watch, and you'd still say, I'll take that over the WNBA.
Could be a long show.
Yeah. Talking about the worst thing that you've seen, I still would watch it over the WNBA. I'd rather watch like a really cheesy slasher film where it's like choppy and you see the knife and then you see the blood and then you see the knife.
Like a 1980s Freddy Krueger movie or something.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about worse, like something with like a really cheesy title.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Halloween prom. That kind of thing where you're like, oh, this is going to be terrible.
A head just ends up on the floor. You don't even see anybody get stabbed. It just starts to roll away.
But it's better than the WNBA, so let's go. The only reason why you're watching NBA and hockey this early is either A, you're a degenerate gambler, or B, you're in a fantasy league, which means you're a degenerate gambler, which we all are. So let's go ahead and shift gears and go into the picks. The National Football League. Untamed Music says I was watching the Browns and Hawks at the same time. I guess your TV was broken because the Major League Baseball playoffs were on. Anyways, let's go with the NFL and be interested to see where you're going. I'll go ahead and give you the first pick. Where are you going with the National Football League this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, man, there's some lopsided matchups this week. I feel like more than usual, there's going to be a good amount of high spreads that will be incorporated into this week's games. I'm going to go to a spookier game, Atlanta at Miami. I know Miami has just came off a loss to Jacksonville. I understand that, but they're getting points at home. And Atlanta, to me, isn't good enough to be giving up points when they go on the road. I know coming off the London trip's hard. Atlanta was off a bye week, but Tua Tagovailoa looked pretty good throwing to Waddle, and I think that offense will keep clicking, and I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins getting points at home. I just think it's getting points on your home against a bad team. They should be able to do that.
All right, I'm going to take that same game, and I'm going to take Atlanta-Miami, take the over. They're both terrible, and the over-under is 47.5, and I think they will score that.
I like that.
I was going with the Falcons minus the points, but I'm not going to contradict you. Miami's trash. I'm telling you right now.
I just think both are trash, honestly.
But the Falcons have an opportunity coming off a bye week to be able to set themselves up pretty. And Miami, they were in London last week, were they not?
Yeah, they lost to Jacksonville. So it's a tough travel week for them, no doubt.
So you know what? I'm going to scratch that. I'm going to go ahead and pick it anyways. Atlanta -2.5.
Let's do it.
Miami's coming back home from London. That's really odd. Normally you're off that week.
Yeah, and they played a team that gets a bye week.
I'm really tired. You got basically no sleep last night. My mind's playing tricks on me, but I was like, didn't I just watch the Jaguars walk them off in a field goal in London just last Sunday? And the Falcons are the Falcons are going to beat the Dolphins.
I mean, hey, like you said, not only did the Dolphins not get a bye week, they gave the Falcons a bye week to play them. It's like, wow, that's terrible scheduling, but
I don't know why Miami agreed to that. There has to be some kind of conflict that had to change it. There has to be a conflict to change that. There's no way they originally set that up. Yeah, they get to come home, but my God, you would have came home on the plane Sunday night, late Sunday night, and all the jet lag and everything. That's, man, I would be upset if I were Brian Flores and company. What is your next pick?
My next pick, I'm going to go to another team I'm going against that just had a bye week. But I'm going to take New England and give up the 7 points. I have it as a touchdown here. Whatever, even if it's around that, that's fine. I'm going to take them and give up the points. I think they need a big blowout victory that they haven't really had this year. The Jets are the Jets at the end of the day. Patriots do really good against rookie quarterbacks most of the time. Bill Belichick usually takes care of business there. I think they came over that tough overtime.
I've got it at 7.5. Do you still?
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah. I'll still take it because I think the Patriots need that big time victory. They haven't had it yet. And off a couple heartbreaking losses with Tampa and Dallas, I think New England's going to come out on their home and really play well.
All right. So the game that I like next will be the 49ers coming off the bye week at home against the Colts. The Colts are terrible. Give me San Francisco -4.
Oh, please, please.
Dude, that's going to be a rout. They're coming off the bye week. San Fran's going to mash. Now, it's not going to be a rout, but they'll win by two scores. It'll be somewhere in the 10-point range, and -4. On a Sunday night in San Francisco, they normally play really well at home, especially on Sunday night games. I've seen them put the pedal to the metal, and the Colts have looked a little better, but that's a tough game to go out on.
What's weird is it's going to be pouring rain there. It usually doesn't happen during games a lot, but it's going to be it's heavy rains, but I don't know if that will affect anything.
Oh, I like it even more because that's at least 3 interceptions by Wentz.
Hey, Garoppolo is trash, so I'll take that.
As bad as you may think Garoppolo is, he's still 10 times the quarterback that Carson Wentz is.
Not this season.
No, every season. 9
touchdowns, 1 pick.
Every season.
No way.
Every season.
No chance.
All right, we'll see, man.
I can't wait for next Friday already with the rivalry.
Doesn't matter. We've already clinched the division.
Oh man, you between your text to me and other things, you're just really giving it to me today, huh?
look at the division standings. You have no chance. The Titans are 4-2. The Colts are 2-4. They'll both probably be 4-3 and 2-5 next week. Even if you win, that means that you've only tied the division series. And
Titans play the Rams after the Colts in the LA. That's a loss.
The Colts play a lot of teams after they play the Titans. Those are all losses.
We got Jacksonville and the Jets, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah. You also got to go to Buffalo, play the Bucks, play the Patriots, at the Cardinals.
Yeah, now you're on my team's schedule. All right, where's my next?
Those are all losses, baby.
Ay, Max really giving me a time today.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
You know, I've been listening to all these Braves broadcasts supporting my friend, and he comes out here and just trashes my teams.
I think we're gonna lose Sunday, though. I really do, man. That's a tough turnaround. It really is. And
really, that was one of the more impressive underdog.
They're saying all the right things. Oh, we have flipped the page. I watched the whole press conference by Tannehill last night. I don't care what you say, man. You're about to play the Chiefs, and you just got an emotional win against Buffalo, and it's a short week. That's the biggest thing. It's a short week, and it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. So you're going to be tired, man. I would be shocked if they beat the Chiefs. I'll be shocked if that game's close, to be honest with you. I think the Chiefs will find a way. Now, the only thing that's going good for them is that the Chiefs, this will be 2 consecutive weeks on the road. In the NFL, that's usually pretty difficult to turn around. But I think the Titans are going to be like, where am I? You're in Nissan Stadium, and we're down 35-17. There's 4 minutes left. All right, well, screw it. We'll go play the They're probably going to game play. Honest engine, if you are Vrabel, would you not set your team up and go, look, if anyone's even questioning whether or not they can play, if they're banged up a little bit, we'll just bench them until we play the Colts next week.
Well, I agree totally.
Because that game's worth 2 to 3 games if you think about the big scheme of it.
Correct. All jokes aside that we're giving each other, Titans have played very well, and they have a commanding lead in the division. So if they do have some questionable guys, save them for the Colts game, because if you beat Indy on Halloween, division's over for sure at that point. So I agree. If you have any,
and all jokes aside, the Colts are going to have – that's going to be a difficult game to win in Indy. And I'll tell you what, as I'm saying that, for whatever reason, they're showing a clip of the 77-yard touchdown run by Derrick Henry. Oh. I'm like, never mind. I like him. Oh, man. Ryan Clark's lost his brain. He's got the Titans as – oh, never mind. The ranking players. I thought they had him on the power – doing his power 5, that Titans number 2. I was like, what?
Well, I mean, I know you got to be running on fumes. Luckily, the Titans and the Braves have been doing well, but I don't know how you keep doing it. You keep powering through, but your teams keep winning.
Dude, I am absolutely exhausted this morning, and I've got a meeting at 10:30 this morning. I'm like, thankfully, everybody's off tonight. I'm going to watch the ALCS game, but that's it. I'm not doing any broadcasting. I'm just going to try to recharge my batteries, but nobody wants to hear about that junk. So I took San Fran -4, the Falcons -2.5. You took Miami +2.5. So we're contradicting ourselves, and New England -7.5. What is your third pick of the afternoon, Sunday afternoon?
My last pick is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they're giving up a field goal right now home against Philly. Even that if that went up a little bit, that's fine. I just think the Raiders – I was impressed with their win last week. A lot of us had, Denver thinking that would be an easy win for them on their home field. Not the case. Raiders now come back home where they just came off the loss to Chicago there. I don't think they make that same mistake twice against a bad football team in Philadelphia, who is worse than their 2-4 record. They're not even believing the 2-4. They beat a couple of bad teams, so I'm going Vegas in a big win.
If I knew more about Tyrod Taylor, I'd be all about taking the Texans +17.5. That's a big spread. And even though it's in Arizona, I feel like Arizona and Houston seems like a game that's going to be closer than what the experts think. But they're still saying that, see, the last update that I'm getting on Taylor was it was way back on Monday saying he's day-to-day. So that means he's probably not playing. Who are they playing next week? They are at home against the Rams. They're probably just going to wait to have him play at home. So I'll go away from that game. I'll steer clear of it. If you find out that Tyrod Taylor's playing, though, that's a big spread.
Huge.
Jump to the window as quick as you can, Tyrod. But if it's Davis Mills, I'm not taking that freaking bet. You kidding me? Let me go with very few team totals are out here right now. So I don't like that, but let's go ahead and we'll find a spread that we like here. All right. So, man, you know what? I don't think the Washington football team is very good. And I've got Green Bay -7. I think the Packers are going to smoke them. It's in Lambeau.
Yep. They're rolling too. So I agree with you.
Typically you don't like those big spreads in the NFL, but dude, Washington's not good. What, they lose 31-13 at home to Kansas City? And I think Green Bay's a better team than Kansas City, and they were at home. Now they're on the road.
Their defense is trash this year.
It is. And it's so funny. I was watching a national show yesterday where they were talking about this, and these guys were bragging about, I didn't take Washington to be very good this year. And anyone that did, like, who in the hell that knows anything about football thought that Washington's defense was going to be this bad? This is absurd. They were one of the best defenses in football last year, and they added to it during the offseason. I don't know what's going on in Washington, but it's not defense.
Nope.
And that's why I thought Washington would be so good this year. I thought it would be a team that would lean on their defense. We all thought that Fitzpatrick would be playing. So I thought it would be a team that would have a good, not great, but good offense, a dominating defense. And now, so Fitzpatrick hasn't played in weeks. It is a terrible defense and a terrible offense.
Not a good combination.
Washington football team is on the clock.
Right behind Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, God bless. They've got to draft a quarterback, by the way.
Yes, they do.
They got to quit trading draft picks and trading down the draft. It's time to draft a quarterback guy. Heineke's not it.
Nope.
Fitzpatrick. I mean, when you're getting when you're having hip issues, you might be old about it. You might be old about it when you're having hip issues.
I thought Fitzmagic was old in 2014. I know he's been decent still, but I thought he was old like 8 years ago.
He was good. He
was.
But as bad as his defense is, I don't think it would have made much of a difference.
No, it wouldn't have.
They'd have a couple more wins, maybe, but they wouldn't be. The biggest thing that happened with the Cowboys this year is that usually when someone comes back from an injury like Dak Prescott came back from, it's usually takes them about halfway through that he hit the ground running. And their defense is playing much better than everyone expected. So the Cowboys are going to run away with the division. I talked about this the other week. There's only like one or two divisions in question in the National Football League. The rest are all going to be runaways. And I don't think it's good for the league. Now, thankfully, you're going to have the expanded playoffs, so you're going to have all these wild cards. But Buffalo's going to run away with the East. I think the AFC North is still in question.
Yeah.
The Titans, I'm not going to say they're going to run away with the South, but they're going to win the South handily. Everybody knows Tennessee's going to end up eventually just through attrition win it with like an 11-6 or 10-7 record.
Yep.
And that'll be 2 to 3 games better than Indianapolis. And the rest of the division has no shot. The AFC West could be interesting, but the East is going to be a blowout. The North, comfortable. I mean, who is going to come up against the Packers, right?
And even Tampa Bay.
The Bucks are on cruise control.
Yeah.
Forget the division. The Bucks are sitting there waiting for the next best team. The Bucks are getting ready for an Arizona showdown in the NFC Championship game. And then the NFC West could be interesting, but there's a lot of pressure on the Rams to play well because Arizona is just rolling.
Yeah, this ain't. It doesn't seem so fluky like it has the last couple of years. Arizona looks for real.
Normally, you get a handful of games. A handful of divisions that are tight down the stretch. I think you're going to get 2, maybe 3, because 3 of the 4 in the NFC are definitely going to be runaways.
Yep. And
at least half in the AFC are going to be decided with about a month left. So when we get past Thanksgiving, I'll tell you what, there's a lot of pressure on the Bengals to keep winning to make that division interesting. Because I get it. The Browns won last night. They didn't look good. They did not look good.
That was just one of those crappy,
I was so glad to be not watching that game. I kept checking the score. I had one device on that I would look over every once in a while. I was like, my God, that just looks like something I don't have any desire to watch. The only good
we put that game on mute, and we had your Gamecast right next to it. So that was the fun part for us. We muted the football game and listened to the Braves game.
Awesome. So you heard all the cursing in my head.
Oh, yeah. Me and my brother were on there like, we're just waiting to hear Mac blow up. We were just waiting for the blow up. But you keep pretty composed. Your home run call is by far the best thing. We enjoy that the most. Slam it, am a ding dong.
Oh, man, that was short-lived. Freddie hit that home run, and then the rest Oh my God. Oh my God. I really expected their offense to put up more of a fight. It didn't shock me we lost last night. I just thought we'd score more. But I did like the fact that at the end, and this is what's getting overlooked by the pundits this morning. When you look at the box score last night and you look at what actually happened, the Braves' entire pitching staff is going to be ready to roll. Because the box score last night, outside of Max Fried, which he wouldn't pitch no matter what, off of just a couple of days rest. You look at the box score last night, the Atlanta Braves, these are the pitchers that went for the Dodgers last night. Joe Kelly, who evidently is hurt, he came out of the game. Phillips, who's been pretty darn good for them. Vesia, Gratterall, Treinen, Nabel, and Jansen got them to the W, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Braves, Max Fried, he wouldn't pitch. If Max Fried pitches again, it's because the Braves are in the World Series. Chris Martin pitched a third of an inning. Okay. And Dylan Lee and Jacob Webb finished out the last 3 innings. Those are 2 dudes that are not coming out of the bullpen if the game's on the line. So essentially nobody pitched for the Braves because Chris Martin, and I know everybody knows the name from last year, he's been terrible this year, especially down the stretch. So Chris Martin is a guy you're putting in the non-high leverage situations. In other words, he's your 5th inning, 6th inning guy at the best. And he's a spot guy. You're putting him in to face a righty with the game on the line in the early part of the game. But all the back end of the bullpen, they save the big 3. They save Minter. So there are 4 big arms, 3 lefties and 1 righty. None of them pitched last night. That's huge. It's enormous.
That's huge. And you're going back home. Always good to go back home.
And you got Ian Anderson. Look, let's be honest. We'll be happy if we get 4 good innings out of him. 5 would be phenomenal. He's thrown some really good games down the stretch, but I just don't expect it. The guy just tends to, just like it's a veteran thing to be able to know how to compose yourself and save your energy. So I don't expect him to get out of the 5th inning or past the 5th inning. Even if he pitches well, knowing Ian Anderson will be all over the place. He'll be effectively wild. And if you give up 1 to 2 runs in 5 innings, the rest will be a bullpen. And then if it does go 7, Charlie Morton, he knows how to get through. Charlie Morton did not have a great game the other night, the game in which the Braves should have won. And he fought through that to give the Braves the lead. I know you got to run, sir. What is your walk-off for the day?
My walk-off is I'm headed to Tampa today for a little bachelor party, so hopefully you guys find me along the way.
You guys spend more time in Tampa. Why don't you just move down there?
Hey, I'll be doing the Sunday show from there. Thinking about moving down there one day, but yeah, I'll be at Buccaneers at Bears at Buccaneers with the boys. We have a big tailgate party planned for us, so gonna have a great time. Shout out to my boy Brian. It's gonna be a blast. I'll be on a plane soon and get them cracking. I'll be in the same state as you, Mr. Mack.
You're like Kramer, man. Your whole life is a vacation. I've never seen anything like it. You and your brother, one of you are always in the state of Florida every weekend. I don't know why you don't just go in halvesies, get an apartment down there in Tampa and call it a day.
Hey, maybe we can make that into something.
I mean, do you want to spend your youth in Illinois or do you want to spend it in the great state of Florida?
If Lori Lightfoot continues to stay here, I'll move tomorrow.
I don't think they're getting that hag out anytime soon. But anyway,
hey, I'll be listening to you this weekend, though. Good luck to your Braves, Mac.
Thank you, sir, and safe travels. And we will see you Sunday morning.
Yes, sir. From Tampa. Thank you.
All right, brother. We're going to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish up the thoughts on the weekend, take a little bit more looks at some of these college football lines and NFL lines. We'll be back in a flash here on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
This time I'm going to kick that football clear to the moon.
The Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. We're covering the NHL all the way through the Stanley Cup playoffs. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
6th round. TJ Hoshimazode. Yes. Lock it up.
Who? What?
TJ, how's vanilla? All right. TJ, who's your mama?
You mean TJ Hushmanzada from the Bengals?
Put him on the board. Hoshimazole. Got it. Championship.
Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. We'll answer all your questions, pickups, trades, you name it. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Fantasy football time.
Get your Sunday football morning started off right with the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Your Sunday morning kickoff show where we tackle your NFL lines out in the desert, a 61.2% win rate over the last 6 years. Against the spread, over, under, money line, you name it. And we dive into the world of fantasy football year long and your DFS payouts. Your only true Southern football kickoff show that talks the spreads in Vegas, your DFS and fantasy, and your year-long quest to win that fantasy football championship. Only on the Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube channel. It's the Handicappers on Armchair Quarterbacks YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern to noon Eastern. Sundays, all NFL season long.
Good morning.
Wake up, y'all. It's time to get up with the Armchair Quarterbacks. The world of sports is changing every morning. So wake up, y'all, with the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show.
Get up out of bed.
I should have gone to law school or high school.
Saturday mornings, 8:30 Eastern. Dixie Football Nation is back and better than ever. We got Tony Agolini, Matt Carr, Tones Ariola, Bobby and Angelo, along with Mac McGee this fall. Dixie Football Nation heads to the gridiron, talking ACC, SEC, the Big Ten, and all the big games throughout the college football land. That's Dixie Football Nation, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, Saturday mornings on the Armchair Quarterback Show's YouTube channel, going live, or catch the instant replay.
It all starts with just one thing. When recycling, rinse out jars and cans, and avoid recycling wax paper or paper soiled with food. This will reduce recycling contamination. Find tips and more at onethingus.com. What's your one thing?
They're bringing me back.
What about your fact-checking job?
Oh, here's the fact. I'm the Wiz.
Good morning. Welcome back here to CBS Radio, the Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live. And, well, we've kind of talked about it this morning. We'll have the Braves game tomorrow. Right now it's being scheduled for 5 o'clock Eastern, and I would think it'll probably stand. I hope it stands. I don't want to wait around till 8 o'clock for that game tomorrow night. It's 5:08 Eastern. Red Sox Astros are 8 o'clock Eastern if necessary. And I have not seen, I just assumed that they would be changing the time of the game. But I think this close to game time, they might be leaving it as is. So hopefully we get that 5 o'clock game regardless, and can be done with these Dodgers by sometime 8:30 Eastern tomorrow night. Now, college football, NFL lines. Let's start with the NFL. Some of the ones that I'm finding a little interesting. The Bengals are 6.5-point dogs on the road to Baltimore. That's intriguing because I know Baltimore has owned Cincinnati in the past, but I think they might hang in there with them tomorrow. The other interesting thing is, and I don't have the team totals, they've taken those off the board, but 46.5 is the over-under line in Baltimore. I think that gets eclipsed pretty easily. The National Football League, other slates look like this. The Panthers are 3.5-point favorites in New York. That seems like a game that you would take. I'm steering clear of that. I don't see. One thing we do know, Darnold hasn't played well in that stadium his entire career. That's why he's gone. So I'm not willing to take that game. I know Tony's hurt, and I know that we're having to look at this game as the Giants being bad and the Panthers being pretty good. I think they're both falsely propped up, and I think the Giants will keep that close. I just don't like Carolina going on the road there. So I'm steering clear of that. We talked about Washington, Green Bay, so we'll move on from that. Tennessee getting 4.5 at home against Kansas City. I just don't think that's enough. Tennessee should be exhausted. Same reason why I like the Falcons -2.5 in Miami. I know Joey disagrees with me, but when you are playing in London the week before and you've got to turn around and play again, that's not very common. There's a reason, because of the jet lag. So, and to compound this, Atlanta's coming off of a bye. And usually teams coming off a bye have a advantage anyways. And you're going to play a team that's coming back from London. I really think that Atlanta's going to cover that spread, and probably in a pretty good way. And you're also going to get Ridley back. Remember, they didn't have Ridley over in London. They should have Ridley back. They should have their entire backfield ready to roll. Kyle Pitts showed up. I'm interested to see what this team total is. I would think the team total will be somewhere around 24, 25 points, maybe a tad higher for the Falcons. The way it's laid out, you would think it's like 26-23, 25-22. They normally pick like 24.5 is what they'll probably pick. I think the Falcons will put some points up in Miami, and I'm still not sold on Tua. The Lions are getting 16 points in Los Angeles. 16, and I don't know if that's enough. This is one of the few times that on a big spread, I'm kind of steering clear. I know the Lions have looked good from time to time. They've looked, feisty. But that's usually at home. On the road, and Matt Stafford's going to be fired up to play against his old team. Not that they did him wrong by any stretch of the imagination. They actually did him right. They traded him when he wanted to be gone. They traded him to a real contender. But I still think he gets up for it and gets ready for it. The Vegas -3. Joey took that as one of his picks. I like that pick a lot. Philadelphia is not a very good football team. Vegas, for whatever reason, is extremely undervalued. They are a good football team, and they're only a 3-point favorite at home. So what that's telling us is that in the heart of hearts of Vegas, a 2-4 Philadelphia team is traveling to a 4-2 Vegas team, and it's a 3-point favorite. So that means that on a neutral site, they'd be about even to be a pick 'em. Seriously? That seems insane. It seems absolutely insane. Las Vegas at home, they should win that game going away. Now, they have laid some duds out this year, but I don't think that Jalen Hurts is something to really freak out about, to be honest with you. The other lines, just a couple more lines, and then we'll flip over to college football because you got some games tonight. The Bucks are 13-point favorites at home against Tampa Bay. They should roast them. Justin Fields is not going to be able to get anything going. They're not even sure if Allen Robinson is going to play. I think he will. I think it's more load management they've been doing, but in practice. But even if he plays, you're going to tell me Justin Fields is going to go toe-to-toe with Tom Brady in Tampa? No way. And it's a 4:25 kickoff, so that crowd will be rocking. It's a 13-point spread. The only way Tampa Bay is close in that game is if they just kind of snooze and put it on cruise control and let Chicago get back in the game. But remember, Chicago still doesn't have David Montgomery. They may not have Williams. He's still on the COVID list. We'll find out about that probably today or tomorrow. But Herbert did a fine job, but they're not going to be able to run all over Tampa. The only way to beat Tampa is to throw it. And Justin Fields is not going to all of a sudden become Johnny Unitas. So he was dealt an unfair hand to start the season off because they were all about some Andy Dalton and they didn't give Justin Fields the reps in the summer, which is when you really need them to get ready for the season. Dalton goes down, and now they've got one of the most vanilla offenses that you can have, and they're just going to struggle. Houston Texans, it doesn't look like Tyrod Taylor is going to play, so that'll be a blowout in Arizona. Once again, I think San Fran's going to cover the spread against Indianapolis. I was giving Joey a hard time, but I still think San Fran wins that game by pretty close to double digits. The Monday night game, that's intriguing. The Saints -4.5 at Seattle. I think I would take Seattle +4.5 at this point. They haven't looked that bad, and they're going to be the home team. And, Jameis Winston's just a sneeze away from 3 interception game. He's not bound to go out there and rack up the points. It's going to be a close, but the over-under is only 42.5. So what you're saying is that the Saints are going to go on the road in Seattle and win that game by about a touchdown on a very low-scoring ball game. The math isn't right on one of those. Either it's going to be a much higher scoring game or Seattle's going to cover. College football, transition over to that. Tonight, you've got a couple of games. None of real interest. Maybe the Memphis Central Florida game. Memphis is a 2-point favorite at Central Florida, over under 64. Washington Huskies, they're 17.5-point favorite at Arizona tonight. That's a 10:30 kickoff. MTSU, Middle Tennessee State, they're a 15-point favorite at UConn. I mean, these are all snore fests. I'm going to be watching the ALCS. I just, you're not going to be able to watch this junk. I'll probably put one device on streaming where the Central Florida Memphis game is on. If Middle Tennessee and UConn stay competitive, I might keep that on because it is an early kickoff. That game's at 6:00 Eastern. And I haven't really watched MTSU much this year. I've watched like a total of about one game, so I might watch that. Tomorrow it gets rolling at noon. And Florida State, UMass, no one cares about that. But Florida State should put it on. They're a 35.5-point favorite. Penn State should roll over the Illinois Fighting Illini. It's a 24-point spread right now. Same thing with Michigan at home against Northwestern. Same spread. All these games are noon kickoffs. Cincinnati, what are they, number 2 in the country now? They're a 28.5-point favorite at Navy. Navy normally a pain to deal with, and normally you would like taking Navy in the points, but their defense looked so bad the other night. I mean, they were getting torched. And that was not against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, they should be able to name their number. Wake Forest is a 3-point favorite at Army. That's an interesting game because Wake Forest is undefeated and they're going to start trying to clamor that they need respect or whatnot. That's a game that they could drop. Oklahoma should blow out Kansas. It's really a bad week for college football, to be honest with you. Wisconsin, 3.5-point favorite at Purdue. I think a lot of folks are going to jump on the Purdue train because of the upset last week. I'd like to see where that game finishes at, where the line finishes at. If it goes down below 3, I would take Wisconsin. But if it creeps up another a point or so, I'd be willing to take a risk on Purdue. It's going to be a low-scoring ball game. but it is in Purdue. We talked about Pittsburgh, Clemson. Pittsburgh, if you've arrived, if you're going to take that next step, you've got to beat Clemson soundly at home tomorrow. You just have to. And LSU Ole Miss, that thing has moved since we've been on the air. It was down to 8.5. It's now down to 8. So I'll give Joey 8 on that line. Ole Miss should roast LSU. This is a big rivalry, only in their minds. The rest of the world could care less about LSU and Ole Miss. But in the world of the Rebels and Tigers, the alumni, they love this game. 76.5 is the over-under. And that's probably not high enough, to be honest with you. Both those defenses are questionable at best. Mississippi State's a 20.5-point favorite at Vanderbilt. And there are years when I would love taking Vanderbilt when they were a home dog, getting a lot of points because it's kind of a dull, drab stadium. You kind of fall asleep. But Vanderbilt has been so bad this year. I feel like that Alabama's spread is going to go up. They're 25-point favorites that opened at 27.5. There's been an overcorrection. It's dropped down to 3. I think you're going to get some more points. So if it were me, I would hold on a little bit to see if Tennessee can gain another point or two, because they're going to put points on the board. Tennessee will. Now they're probably going to give up a lot of points as well. But the way they're calling it right now, it's a 46-21 win by Alabama. I think the Vols can hang in a little better than that. I think they can probably look to 46 points sounds about right for me with Alabama. But I think Tennessee could probably fight their way in, score 24, 28 points. That's an enormous point spread in a rivalry game. Just like LSU Ole Miss, no one else really cares about this around the country, but the Alabama-Tennessee fan base, more so the Tennessee fan base, a little delusional about how important this game really is. Alabama, you're a typical Alabama fan who's from Alabama, is not just on some bandwagon. Your typical Alabama fan, their real rivalry is Auburn. Tennessee is like a secondary rivalry. It's just because of the nostalgia of it. It hasn't been relevant in college football in a couple of decades, but years and years and years ago, General Nealon, when he coached the Volunteers, he turned this into a rivalry against Alabama. And so they always hang their hat on that. But to be honest with you, on a national scale, nobody even realizes that this is any kind of a real rivalry. Ohio State, Indiana, that is going to be a blowout. The interesting one we have not talked about at all this week, NC State is a 4-point favorite at Miami. I think that is name brand alone. NC State should cover that spread. NC State -4. I didn't see it earlier. And like I said, I was flying the seat of my pants this morning because of being up so late doing the game. But if I had to do it over, that would be one of my locks, is taking NC State. South Carolina getting 19.5 at A&M. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. That's going to be a blowout. Southern Cal getting a touchdown at Notre Dame. Remember when that was important? That's the only thing I'd be willing to do on that one is Southern Cal's over-under is 24 right now. I think they could probably eclipse that because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But Notre Dame should roast them. Notre Dame should beat Southern Cal by 2 touchdowns. That'll about do it. Tonight, professional baseball, the Major League Baseball playoffs. Eovaldi is on the mound for Boston. And right now, the number is even. This tells you what they think about Eovaldi in the playoffs. They are on the road in a closeout game in Houston with that place rocking, and it's an even spread. Typically, you would be getting a plus 120, 140, plus 150 or better. The run line, by the way, plus 1.5 if you take Boston is minus 190. I like that one a lot. Because if Houston does win this game and close it out, I think it's going to go down to the end. The other thing that I'm really interested in the fact is that the run line, not the overall run line, but the Red Sox run line, 4.5 is the over under, and it's an even. So if you put $100 down, you get $100, right? I think those Boston bats are going to come to play. I really do. I think they're going to put Garcia's coming to the mound. Luis Garcia for the Astros. He has not pitched well in any of the games. He might give up that 5 spot before you get out of the second inning. Red Sox might hit another grand slam. So my prediction tonight is that the Boston Red Sox will force a game 7, and we'll go to Saturday, the game 7 on the line, and a game 6 in the NLCS. And it's going to be great baseball theater. And that's what I'm pulling for, because I want to see, no matter who wins that series in Boston, in Houston, I want to see them taxed. I want to see their bullpens on the same level that the Braves will be on, because the Braves, it might take the Braves till Sunday. I hope that they can pull it off tomorrow. They're underdogs at home. Everyone's picking the Dodgers to win. They've picked against the Braves all series. Atlanta, by the way, if you take the Braves right now plus 1.5 run line, it's a minus 115. That's a really good get for a home game in a game 6 closeout situation. I know Scherzer's on the mound, and I get that. I get the fact that he's, this god to everybody. But the Braves got him out of there in the 4th inning last time out, or in the 5th. He pitched 4 1/3. I get it. He's going to get an extra day off of rest. I think he's going to be ready to go. Sometimes that lingers. And sometimes you can't get that. You'll get like a dead arm. Everyone's already starting to doubt him, but don't discount the Braves. We will see you tomorrow on the broadcast. Look like it's going to be 5:08 Eastern. So hopefully it sticks that way no matter what. And we'll see it at the on the other side of it. We'll see you tomorrow on the Dixie Football Nation. That'll begin a little before 8:30. I'll jump on just a little before to do reactions to the baseball game, because we won't be able to get a word in edgewise. It'll be all about football tomorrow. But we'll jump on with some old time radio to get you rolling on the baseball. Kind of set that scene. So probably around 8:15-ish is when we'll start that. Maybe a tad before, but just like and subscribe and you'll see it pop on. And nationally, I do know that we're gonna be on a few radio stations tomorrow on the 8:30 Eastern, rolling on with that. But if you want to hear the whole show, listen to our YouTube. We are going to get out of here. Have a great Friday. Go Braves. Let's get ready for this.
It's Friday, Working Stiffs. Everybody.
4, 3, 2, 1. Happy weekend! Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. Armchair Quarterbacks, first choice for Southern Sports Talk, live from the First Coast.